when there was an, let's see, there was a July 2023 release, there was a January 2024 release, but in the January 2024 release, a bunch of things were done, but the instructions that used to build IPDK from source continued to be the July 2023 version, and they never updated it to the latest stuff. And when I tried hacking it in, I couldn't figure out how to get it to build. So it might be that they're focusing on Intel IPU operation and not focusing so much on P4 DPDK open source updates. That's my best.
Yeah.
guess.
And we don't have Ashutosh anymore, so yeah. So I think that someone named Ted is supposed to be filling in for, I think, Macy and Ashutosh. So we no longer have Macy either.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine things are people shifting around.
And then Marvell was supposed to be doing some work as well. I remember we talked about that before. I should check in on that. So, Andy, did you attend where Jamal was presenting his P4 TC?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
I mean, I've kind of followed it from a distance more so. I mean,
because it's kind of obscure or difficult to do or not well supported, or
no, more so just it hasn't been on my list of hobby things. It didn't get added to my list of hobby things to do. I mean, certainly many P4 related things are on my hobby list, but not that one.
Yeah.
So
I think
nothing against it, just it's not in my
not on your radar. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not as close. It's on my radar, but it's not in my wheelhouse or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have so many open source projects I need to track. For sure, it's another one. So.
Yep.
But I can try to be helpful, I guess.
I mean,
Go ahead.
As Chris mentioned and Jamal mentioned, they have had an uphill battle, I think, trying to get this whatever portion of it's in the kernel getting accepted as a kernel change. And so yeah, Chris had some advice and Jamal had some advice on ways that folks could help make that happen if they're so inclined. I don't know the politics well enough of the Linux net dev community to know how to best influence things there.
Yeah, I was wondering, how applicable / difficult it would be to get it off the ground. So.
Yep. So, but whatever exists now, I mean, I'm not sure. Like I say, not having gone through the steps myself. I'm not sure, but I think you can use an unmodified Linux kernel and load ePPF programs into it, produced via P4TC. Haven't tried it out myself.
Yeah. Okay. Marsha, was there anything you wanted to talk about in this call? I think we're just kind of waiting on Riff if he had any documentation he was going to provide, but was there anything you wanted to cover?
No, I'm just waiting for something better than BMV2 so I can run a bit more scale in the CI.
Oh, like the large ternary tables are still the performance limiter for you?
No, large apparently I can make them all as large as possible and fill them, but performance become like I need to send a packet every 10 seconds to get anything passing through with 4 million entries in the table. So yeah, I think as I fill the tables more and more, performance becomes somewhere where, and I don't care about performance.
Show me an open source implementation of ternary tables on a general purpose CPU that's high performance and free, and I'll show you. Well, I guess the only one I'm actually aware of is maybe OVS has one.
But I mean, maybe P4 DPDK will help us. Maybe P4 in the kernel, the other project will help us. And in the end, I don't care about the performance directly. I care about test runtime. I just don't want to wait for an hour for one packet from each flow to be sent. Kind of that's my.
Can you remind me what size ternary tables were you filling things up to and getting that packet rate?
I think at this moment I'm around 320K, 160K, 80K, kind of in that range. And I was trying to push it to 4 million just for the fun of it. But since I'm having problems at, 10 times less scale, I'm not going to do it yet.
Understood. Yep. So that's almost certainly due to linear scanning on every packet every time it applies.
Yeah, because it looks linear. I mean, with 10 entries works pretty great. And of course, when you have 10 entries, you only need to send 10 packets, unique packets. When you have 320, you need to send 320K unique packets, and rate decreases and then becomes, you go on a coffee break.
Is there, so this might be busy work and a bad idea, but I thought I would mention it. If you could hack it up so that's an exact table and only put in entries that have exact match on a set of bits, it would go much faster. But maybe that defeats the purpose of the test.
I see. Anyway, this is not urgent, but I'm joining this meeting just to keep an eye on any possible improvements by a switch from BMV2 to something else.
Yeah. And I noticed that Riff joined. Hey, Riff. I'm going to check in with Marvell Riff to see if there's been any progress on their P4, and I need to talk to Ted at Intel because they were working on P4 DPDK. So I need to figure out if they've lost 2 members over there at Intel that used to come here. So I'll have to check in on that. And then last time with you, we talked about the data plane app Riff. And so any scoop on that?
Yeah, we actually published a PR in draft doing that thing. But I think it's not like fully ready yet. But I guess it actually shows some of the workflow. Not sure if every code, all the code is published right now. But at least locally, I can see the packet goes into the data plan app, and then data plan app can actually call the flow API through the SI. So basically, it links the libsci, so you can call into the libsci, insert the entry, and so we are actually pretty much in that stage. So I would say like
That's
fairly
cool.
close, but not fully ready yet.
Yeah. Still really cool though. So I should share with everyone, just so you know, on the call, we're losing Riff next week to an out of office. So have a good time when you go, Riff.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so we'll be without him, but I think this would be the draft here, Riff 598.
Yeah, I think this one, and I believe this one is it's still using Docker. Yeah, it's still using Docker. So probably not gets all the code there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's not fully getting all the code there. But like what I can see is that in our local sync, we can see the flow start almost
That's
there.
cool.
Yeah. So I'll think with the dev see when we can get them published, but hopefully not too far away.
Do you think it's a good idea for me to monitor the PRs in the Sonic management and Sonic build repos as well? And if the subject includes Dash, keep track of those as well?
Yeah, I think that will be good. That's also the thing I'm doing as well.
Oh, you're doing the same thing. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll check that folders. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's going on there?
What's going on there? No surprise.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed. Yeah. And so let's see, that's about all I have then. But so what's this? Marian's also on vacation, guys, which is why we haven't seen him. So we do have a few things waiting on Marian, and we were hoping that either Wei or some of his counterparts could help out at NVIDIA. So we've been working on that in the background. And yeah, so sounds like these action items are on me. Andy, is there anything you want me to do in the next couple of weeks or check in on?
I did have, I put it in chat, but if we have a couple minutes, I could spend the question that Mircea had on the performance issues he's hitting. Mircea, so you said you'd like to add several million entries. Right now, you're stopping at a few 100,000 because the performance gets so bad at that point.
I want
in the set of ternary entries you're adding, do you know how many unique masks you're using in your test cases? The reason I ask is if the number. Well, so for example, suppose you have 2 IP address fields with ternary masks, but both are /16 prefixes, and you have 100 entries that are all /16 on the source and destination address prefix, for example. That's only one mask across the same mask across all 100 entries, right? And if you had two, like some entries had /16 and some had /24/24, that'd be 2 unique masks, even if there were 100,000 entries. The number you're probably not doing random masks, right? You're probably like
No, but I'm doing like this. So for example, at least in routes in mask, let's say I have a /24, for example.
Yep. Right.
I translate that in a 1/25, 1/24, sorry, 26, 127, 128, 129, 130, whatever. And at the end, I'm left with 2/32 masks, and one matches a deny, and I'm not putting that in the table. This way, they cannot be summarized, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make it
but for example, are all the masks you're using prefixes, even though the data plane supports arbitrary masks for ternary fields? If you're only using prefixes, that kind of limits the number of masks you can do pretty dramatically, right?
Maybe I'm not understanding fully the question. That's for routes. Now for ACLs, there are, let's call it /32s. It's an IP, and I skip by one always.
But
so
most of the masks are /32?
For ACLs, yes.
And that's the one that you'd like to put millions in?
I was doing initially mapping and routing. I started with mapping, I believe, first. And mapping, it's, let's say, /32. It's MAC IP pairs.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because there's a well-known, so OVS, Open vSwitch, uses an algorithm called tuple space search that I won't go into the details here, but basically it takes advantage of the fact that commonly when you have ternary tables, you only really have a few different set of unique masks. And if you have suppose you had 300,000 entries, but only like 100 different masks, it turns out you can do like 100 hash table lookups instead of a linear scan through 300,000 entries and get the right answer. And so that's not like an overnight hack to BMV2, but it's the kind of thing where if we could find somebody with some time and interest in enhancing BMV2 performance, that would not be a multi-month project. That might be a couple of week project for somebody that was interested.
I know, but if we are discussing about switching to P4 DPDK or the other one, P4 in kernel or whatever.
I don't know if they implement these enhancements or not. I haven't checked.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have fancier ways of doing but I mean, on a general purpose CPU, there are no TCAMs, and even in hardware switches, there are no TCAMs with 300,000 entries. They're too power hungry. So everybody uses some kind of classification algorithms, which is one of the reasons why I was, gave a presentation a few months ago on the set of the typical kinds of rules matter a lot for these kinds of things because they let you use different algorithms for speeding things up. So anyway, I just wanted to ask what kind of typical sets of rules you're trying to add, because there's a not very complex thing that could be done it can be done in any of these platforms. I just don't know if it's done in any of them today right now, except for Open vSwitch.
I see. Yeah, it's nothing urgent, just.
Yep. No, I just, I'm just trying to think if I can imagine somebody I could get interested in working on something like this. But I'll let you know if anything comes of it. But I don't know if anybody's sitting and waiting, twiddling their thumbs for a project like that.
Internship project.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry?
Internship project summer.
Oh, well, yeah, P4 actually does have a Google Summer of Code. It has 4 interns, but they've already picked their projects, and none of them was this one.
This wasn't it. I have a research intern named Frank Wang, and he contacted me yesterday. He wanted the logins to a few of my cards, and which he successfully was able to log in. And so I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do with that? And make sure you tell me first, because I have a huge lab set up. So I think the cards are his project on this side of things. Frank Wang.
Okay. Well,
I'll have him join him.
If he's interested in classification algorithms and C++ code, then you could make it to him. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good fit. Just thought I'd mention it.
Okay. Anyway, and so that's, I guess, all we have for today. A little bit of a lighter week, but put here if you're interested in P4, it's here. Put it in the chat window. And I can give you guys time back if you like. Riff, did you have anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay. And we won't see you next week. The 18th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to vacation for a month. I will come back at August 16th.